In this episode, I go over why I decided to order the 5150 Iconic. Stay tuned. What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Louie Torres, and if you guys watched my 5150 Iconic video the other day, then you know that for the most part, I am literally the least patient person in history. And that goes for buying products and having to wait for them, or someone cutting me off and me wanting to run my car into them. Very little patience, except when I'm at a wedding and then things are completely different. At that point, it's mainly because I have full control of the entire day and I basically dictate and direct what happens. Since that video, a bunch of people just kind of reached out to me and they're just like, it ranges from this amp is going to be complete garbage and the worst, amp that they could possibly make. And of course, that's the price point. But everyone has their valid points. And it ranges from guys who are hardcore, buy American. There are guys who are just like, it's made in China. It's going to be garbage. And then others who are just like, bro, buy any electronic, it's probably 90% made or components made in China. So it's at the point now where, it's, you almost have to be on the fence. Like, is that the future? Is having an amplifier that's $899 that a company like EVH makes, that is designed by James Brown, who designed the original 5150 that's right there, along with the fact that, and this is what other people have told me and shared with me, and I'm just like, you know what? That's kind of on point right there. And one of those bullet points is the fact that here's the EVH family who came from PV, and not to say that it's identical, but the Iconic sounds a lot like the PV Invective. So if everyone under the sun in the year 2020, where hardcore is behind us and everyone's into progressive metal, in the end, EVH could easily be thinking to themselves, well, let's try to take from that market, from the Invective, consumer, and say, hey, we basically make the same thing, and it's basically what my dad would have wanted now, because I would imagine that because James Brown was actually, he sold his company a while back to work with EVH when Eddie Van Halen was still alive. So to some degree, I would imagine that Eddie probably had the chance to at least have an idea of the specs, the schematic on how things are going to flow. But of course, there is the little caveats here and there, which are, why are there only two 12AX7 tubes? And my take on it is, if it's a hybrid tube / solid state, remember that that's kind of what Marshall did at one point back in the 80s with their in the 90s with their valve states, where depending on the channel, it'll run through solid state or 12AX7. I don't necessarily think there was a hybrid where they kind of interacted together, but I could be wrong. I mean, Lord only knows, I have one there and one over here, but I never opened them up. And if I did, it might as well be mumbo jumbo, because I have no idea what the heck I would even be looking at. So, think of it this way. If you're trying to take market share from all of these companies. And you guys have to agree with me that, amplifiers that are $3,000 and $4,500 is kind of crazy. It's crazy. It's at the point where guys are just like, either buy used or I'm going to buy just one really expensive amp and hope that that kind of covers the entire ball field. And it won't. So who's to say that EVH isn't like, hey, this is the iconic. We're going to come into the market with our fists ready to punch everyone in the face and their throats. And we're going to knock everyone out with an $899 price point, which everyone can afford. Even if you are in the used market and you're just like, you know what, my man, I only have $500. Yo, if you have $500, you can save yourself a few extra hundred to buy yourself something that's brand new that has the 5150 lineage. So who knows? So this clown went ahead and ordered the 5150 iconic already. And that's just, again, everyone has had valid points, except that at one point I thought to myself, and this is how cuckoo I am, right? I thought to myself, you know what? This is like a meme stock. This is GameStop at $13. And people are like, dude, it's $13. That's not going to do anything. So I'm thinking, at $8.99, if it sells, that's great. But I just don't think it's going to do great. Then all of a sudden, I convinced myself that this is like I don't want to say a starter price, but almost like an introductory package, right? An introductory price. Today, if you order it, you have the next 15 minutes to order it for $19.99 and free shipping. But if you wait, you're going to spend 5 times that once it reaches the normal consumer retail stores. So I'm thinking to myself, it's $8.99. You know what's going to happen? There's going to be so much volume, so many sales of this amp that they have to, at some point, jack it to $1,450, $1,350, And then, of course, because I read the other day that Dave Mustaine is on Cameo, and he started his bidding, if you will, where you can pay him $150 and he will say happy birthday to you, wish you a happy graduation, whatever the case is, for $150. And I forgot what it was. Like within a few days, he increased it to $250, I want to say, or maybe it was $200. Then he increased it to $250. And I want to say it was either yesterday or the day before. It was at $300 or $350. So much so that someone was just like, he basically went from potentially making $12,000 a week to like $17,000 a week just by bumping it up. And I told myself, you know what? They're clowning us. This is going to be $8.99 and then quickly jump to $14.50, $16.50. And the only lucky, musicians are going to be the ones that were just like, let me just jump right in and be loyal and blind faith and just jump right in and get it. So I ordered it. And my man Chris over at Sweetwater left me a message and said that I was on the phone with one of my brides, and he said that he's pretty sure that they're going to start getting them in October, but that I'm in the first batch. So I'm super psyched about that. Woo! So let's see. It's either going to be one of the best amps ever made with a whole new take on how to build amps that could potentially change the entire industry from having, all of these hyper expensive 8-tube amplifiers with rectifier tubes and 6L6 or EL34 power tubes to just 2, and then there's going to be 2 power tubes and huge transformers. I don't know, but this amp looks like it's going to end up being built in China. So I don't know. Your take is as good as mine, so it's all a guessing game, but needless to say, I decided to jump in, and hopefully it's the best decision. And in hindsight, after it comes in, I'm going to be like, I'm so glad I got this. So guys, thank you so much for watching. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't, click right here. Guys, thank you so much. You guys are the best. And as usual, I'll talk to you soon.